You are so known now for your set building and your use of colour.
Yeah.
Was it always that, or
No, it's actually quite the opposite.
Welcome to Finding My User Manual, a podcast all about learning how to be human when no one gave you the instructions. My name is Tiggs Rice. I am an empowerment photographer based in London, UK, and I am so excited to introduce you to this week's guest of honour, Holly Rose Stones. Hi.
Hello, Tiggs. Thank you for having me. It's so good to see you, actually. It's been, is it a year since we...
No, it can't be.
No. I do, we met last year. So, yeah.
So April, yeah, almost.
We've been meaning to catch up, though, haven't we, for a long time? I'm so happy that we're doing this over a podcast.
The perfect excuse. Get us in the room, we'll have a deep dive chat. And actually, that's kind of perfect because that is literally how we met. Before we launch into that one, I'm going to give you the full empowerment, ego boosting, not so humble brag intro. Holly Rose Stones is a UK-based self-portrait artist and photographer, best known for her signature blend of photography, set design, and deeply personal storytelling. Since the age of 14, self-portraiture has been her way of understanding herself, a visual language that has grown into both her creative practice, and her profession. Known for building her own immersive sets by hand, Holly steps into each carefully constructed world to explore identity, vulnerability, healing, and the emotional complexity of being human. At the heart of her work is her ongoing colour project, a long-form monochromatic series where each chapter reflects a different emotional landscape in her life. Holly describes her practice as a visual diary, a way of documenting change, holding space for difficult moments, and finding meaning through the act of making, sharing the entire process, including both epic wins and the failed experiments, with a wholesome level of transparency. Holly invites us to consider creativity not just as output, but as a way of processing and making sense of being alive. Because at the heart of everything she makes is the same intention, to create images that feel honest, considered, and emotionally resonant.
Wow.
I literally about to say the same thing. I first came across you actually before I met you. I cannot remember exactly when or how, but it was something Adobe based and it was something online. And I stumbled across your color project and I got so excited looking at it. I deeply want to explore that. But first, let me ask you the one and only important question I actually have to ask.
Okay, cool.
If you came with a user manual, what would it say on page 1?
So I have, as you know, have written down or came up with so many different little mantras that I have. I think the main ones that can sort of honestly say out loud is trust yourself. That is one that actually stands out for me mainly, is that I went a long time sort of seeking like another voice, trying to like validate myself through other people's voices in a way. I found over time that trusting myself was actually the main, I suppose it's go with your gut instinct in a way, but trusting my voice. But I also have a lot of other mantras like explore and experiment and never stop doing that. And I think the one that I actually love that I wrote down was the protect your whimsy. I suppose I'm going in with the lens of creating, like protecting how I create, because I remember as a kid I would explore so many different avenues of creating, expressing myself. I can literally, I've got flashes of memories going through my brain now. I used to make songs up in the garden and use the hose pipe as a... Yeah, I've got this vivid memory of me like dancing around. Then I had this like old karaoke machine that I would pretend to like record radio shows. And then I'd just be in my room karaoke, singing my heart out. I bet my mum and dad were just like, shut up. I could not sing. But I loved just expressing in that way. And then like my granddad was always like a real big like creative. So he taught me a lot of things like about like protecting the whimsy of like, you know, even whatever age you are, you can still create with like the childlike view of like, it's fine to like explore and experiment. But yeah, that's kind of one of my other mantras. But I think my main mantra which I wanted to mention was we're on a floating rock.
It was the perfect list of like, trust yourself, yes, protect your whimsy, yes, and if all else fails, we live on a floating rock. I do actually, that one stopped me in my tracks because I think it's like the most metaphorical, physical grounding of everything.
I think that's it, because I go through my work quite vulnerable. I mean, I come out, so sometimes I need to like bring myself back down to like we're living on a floating rock. We need to eat, sleep, function, day to day, and be happy, be content, maybe be sad, but we actually just live on a floating rock. So does it really matter any of it? Like, at the end of the day, I obviously have all those mantras that I live by because I have feelings and I'm a human. But sometimes when I'm like getting too nervous or excited about, or like, we're living on a floating rock, so it's fine. Like just get over yourself, that kind of thing.
I would love to talk about that vulnerability that you've just talked about, the ability to be so vulnerable in your work. Can you talk to me about how this came about? When did you decide, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to start putting myself in my artwork?
Yeah.
How did that process come about?
I wanted to paint people, and I wanted to, like, I loved the idea of like faces, but I was always really scared to ask people to be models or portraits. So I was always like, right, I'll just turn the camera on myself and like create from within in that way. I did a lot of paintings of myself, and even at the time I remember being like, why am I painting myself? Like, it feels really like I couldn't quite make sense of why I was doing it. And I had comments from here and there, like, questioning myself, why am I doing this? And then I went on to sixth form, did A-level art there, and then I was like, I don't know what to do now. So obviously went into photography as my medium, but I was like, because I was like, oh, I can turn the camera on myself, and it feels interesting. But the main time, and I remember when I really made sense of why I did it, was when I was at uni. So I was quite like recluse at uni, and in fact I do remember pretty much my whole first year of uni I spent, I think I even clocked like one day where I'd done like 14 hours on Photoshop learning it. I don't know what it was. I mean, I had my partner Jack, he lived nearby. We met like previously, we did a long distance relationship, so he was always coming on a weekend, and in the week, like, I made friends, but they came and went sort of thing, and I have my solid friends from uni, but I feel like I wasn't into that going out and stuff like that. I just wanted to, I'd sort of already done that back at home, but like, so I was like, I just want to learn. So I was in my uni room learning Photoshop, and I was like, how can I quickly get a subject that I can edit and create from? And so I pretty much just photographed myself. And then I realised I was doing it when I was sad. So like, I was like, oh, okay. So, but it made me feel a little bit better. So I was like, right, okay. Still not quite sure why I'm doing this. People questioned it as well at uni. I had quite a lot of people be like, why are you turning the camera on yourself? But I was investigating self-portraiture at uni as well, because I went to Westminster. And
Did you?
Yeah, so.
Me too.
Yeah, I feel like I have to feel like we knew this. That's just rung a bell.
I think it is. Yeah, I feel like we had this discussion for
the Harrow camp.
Yeah,
I remember. What year?
2006, 2009.
So mine was 2000 and
wait, you're gonna be
12. It was 2012 to 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we missed each other by a few years. Yeah.
Yeah. So the campus was actually being like renovated. At the time.
The uni had a fire the year that I was there. So it was at the end of my first year. And photography had a absolute brand new building. Yes. It was shiny, it was new, it was wonderful. Illustration, where I was, there was water damage to some things, but mostly we were fine.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the art department, all the other creative subjects pretty much had all like been destroyed in the fire. Yeah. So they were in that temporary hut that was like out in the fields.
Yeah. I think as well because of the lack of, because the year that I actually went was the 9 grand year, there was less people in the class. I think there was only about 15 to 20, whereas before, or maybe even 30, but they usually have like 60 sort of people, or maybe even more on the course. I wanted to Photoshop, and because I did photographic arts, it was very, and I love that I got taught all this, but it was very museum, gallery based work. It was quite like, it was very raw and ready, like a lot of darkroom stuff. And I was like, I just want to be in Photoshop. So I even remember like even some people, like my tutor was saying to me at the time, like, just not quite getting on board with Photoshop, but I was just like, I really want to do it. Yeah. So I explored it via taking pictures of myself, and then I realised actually at that point I was like, this is therapeutic. Yeah. So I actually did my dissertation on self-portraiture as therapy. I gathered a lot of photographers who had studied over the years And mainly people who had followed online, to be honest. But as well, Instagram was coming up then. It was would have been 2012, yeah. So Instagram was about a year before, wasn't it? Around, I remember.
Yeah, I do remember in 2013, everyone...
Might have been 2012, actually, when it was sort of...
It was definitely around. Something happened in 2013 and we all no, we're coming off Instagram. And then 6 months later, we're all back on it. But like my feed starts from 2013.
Obviously, we'd added all the social medias like Weibo, like MySpace, briefly, Pixo website. I used to have design websites. And I remember going into like my class and being like, what about social media? And they were all like, no, like we're going to stick with gallery-based things. And I do remember trying my hardest to like sort of say, let's get all on social media, like we can post. And I mean, people were posting, but it wasn't, it's a lot of it was a different landscape then. And people didn't trust it as well.
I felt like at the time, as someone else who was very much trying desperately to explore digital art and was also obsessed with Photoshop and self-learning, I remember having to go in, and I feel like they thought that I pressed a magic button to make all this stuff happen. Back in the day, when I was cloning things, or like trying to make a clipping part, I could be at that for hours. And so I would have to print out literally every single step that I had done. And social media was so much the same. Oh, you don't need that. You need a portfolio and a website.
That's it. It was portfolio. I remember going out of uni being like, with this handmade portfolio, why are we not posting it? And I knew I wanted to work for myself. It'd always been installed into me to do that. And actually, a lot of my clients found me through the self-portraiture online. So I started a YouTube channel in 2015 and started documenting my like progression and like how I'd like got from A to B with the like ideas and everything. And I was so vulnerable about it as well. I think people bought into that because it was relatable. Always say to myself, no, just be honest with it. It's fine, like it's okay. So a lot of people bought into that, I think, and the journey of like self-portraiture, but going back to feeling vulnerable about and like expressing it. I don't know why, I just had an urge to just take photos of myself and practice and experiment and protect my whimsy, really. Just explore and experiment. So
where did your first self-portrait start? Like, you are so known now for your set building and your use of colour. Was it always that, or
no? It's actually quite the opposite. If you go back on, I mean, I don't know if I've got much of my old work on, but it was quite
scrolling later.
So I deleted some of them. I go through stages with it where I'm like, again, I'm vulnerable and open online. But sometimes I have like my moments where I'm like, oh, I don't want that to be online anymore. Like, you know, like archive. And then I'll go through my archive sometimes like, Holly, why did you feel like that? Like there's, you know, like I'll reinstate it. But some of that work from the past, from probably 2015, I did like a 52-week project where every week I would do a self-portrait around a different like theme or word. They all were quite, like I was going through, it was in my 20s and I felt like I had quite a lot of like, there was times where I was away from home because I'd moved down to London and then Kent. So I moved in with my partner Jack and I had a lot of like time on my own, time in my head. And I think I probably spent too much time on my own, to be honest, to think about things, which then I think made me reevaluate a lot of things in my life and ended up being quite, I think I was never diagnosed with depression, but I felt very low. So the only way to like keep myself going every week was like, right, I've got this portrait to do. What am I doing for it? So it just kept me like, but a lot of the subjects were quite heavy. So I feel like they reflected in the colours. So a lot of it's quite desaturated, quite dark themes. And I look back now, I'm like, wow, like it's amazing to see the documentation of like how I felt, and I could feel every emotion from each picture. I think that's quite a nice thing as well, is that looking at each picture, I'm like, I remember that feeling, and I don't feel that way now, so I can reflect on it. I think that's also why it's almost like journaling and reading back your own journals, but visually. Because I'm not necessarily good with like writing out my feelings.
No, either.
I've never been. I'm like, I'm just like, get scared. I'm like, okay. Visually, I'm like, this means that, that means this.
Let me make more honest art and just post it for everyone to see.
But I was going to say that the colour then came when so me and Jack moved, we relocated actually the pandemic weekend, so lockdown
Oh, wow.
we had relocated back to where my parents, I'm from, so in my parents' house. We ended up living there. A whole story.
There's a whole pastoral years of it.
Yeah. But I ended up acquiring, and my parents allowed me to renovate in fact, it's my granddad's old workshop. Whilst we were in the pandemic, like the lockdown, I was like I'd love a studio, but like, and you can see this is my work that I do, but I really want to do sets. So my granddad was like, do you know what, Holly, I'm not doing any of it anymore. I'll just move into this, because we had like another one next door. So he was like, I'll move into the small one, you can have the bigger studio. Then me and Jack renovated that studio, and as I was renovating it, I was like, I'm going to be creating sets in here. So I'd already started and I think because I was happier, I felt more content. I was around my childhood friends and family again. It felt like, don't get me wrong, I had an amazing group of friends and family with Jack's family down south, and it was great, and we had some amazing times. But just career-wise, I was like, I know I need to pursue, and being down south is very expensive as well. So
yeah,
if I'm honest, I know I'm in a very privileged position because of my parents are able to say, here's a part of a building that you can renovate. I'm very aware of that, but it has given me so much freedom to just explore even more. Even though I know I was exploring creatively down south, I think in my head I've got a chapter of down south and up north, as an adult. So when I say down south, that's what I mean, the first chapter, which is my 20s, and then my 30s are in up north. But yeah, so ended up just then renovating the studio, and then I had the idea for my first colour project, and I was like, I'm just going to do this and see where it goes.
Which one came first? Remind me.
The green one came first. That was actually from a previous idea, which I'd already had 5 years previous. I'd sort of had it in the bank. I write down all my ideas, so I have every single day, I have notes in my phone. I'm like, this is what I want to do. It's a bit different now because I'm doing sets, so they take a lot longer time. So I usually focus on, but back before I had the studio, my ideas were fast and furious. They literally just sounds like this one time that I had, which sparked the idea for the green project, happened about 5 years previous. So yeah, got into the studio and ended up creating from that idea. And it wasn't meant to be a colour project. It wasn't, I just did the first one, and then I was like, this was quite fun. I'll do that again. And it really sparked something in me, and it really lit a fire, and I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do another one. I'll do another one, and then here we are.
So what was the original idea for green then, if it wasn't necessarily a colour project?
I went to, so a friend of mine had it wasn't a laughing yoga workshop, it was a yoga workshop which had different elements in it, and we had to do all sorts of stuff hug someone for 5 minutes, and it was an awkward, I'd never put myself in this position before. But I let myself go, and I was like, I'm just going to do this. It was just a fun thing to do. I had a high anxiety at the time. I was like, right, I just need to go and relax. And so Laura, I don't even know if she'll know that this idea came from her workshop, but basically Laura was got us all in a circle. We all sitting on chairs, and I think we'd done some meditation, some yoga. It was a really dark room, and it was, when you go to sleep at night and you can see those
the static,
or you rub your eyes and you get that it felt like that in the room. Basically asked us to breathe for, I think we were breathing for a few minutes, and then it was right, what I want you to do is imagine the room a colour, and just let the room drench that colour. So, and all of a sudden, and I can't explain what happened.
Was it somatic experiencing type?
Possibly. I need to go back and really see what it was. But there was a lot of different things. We had a lot tea there, and it was just really nice, and it was calming.
Yeah.
But we were all in a circle, so it was, close your eyes. You had to trust each other, essentially. It was a real close experience with strangers. So anyway, the room drenched green, everywhere. And I remember had my eyes closed still, but I looked down and the chair was green. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew it had to be a green room.
How interesting.
So then 5 years later, when I was like, I need to do this set, it's going to be a green room. So I wanted the light, the candles, because she had candles. So I made the candles green, the little table green, the chair green. And then things like the backdrop came within the process of creating the set. I didn't have that in my mind. I just thought, right, I need a backdrop, so I'll paint it green. It ended up being textured. So then that followed through the next projects. So all of it was just an experiment, obviously, on the first one. And like the leotard that I wear, I wanted it to be, I was experimenting as well with being full length in an image. Yeah, because I'd always done quite like close-in portraits as well. And if I did quite far out portraits, I was wearing dresses or like ball gowns. In this one, I was like, I want to be vulnerable with myself and like see myself in a bit of a different way. So I wanted still to be covered up in ways because it's a long sleeve leotard, but I just felt like I needed to expose myself in a bit more of a comfortable way, but still a way that I'd not done before.
Do you know, it's so interesting because now I'm thinking about it and in my head I'm looking at that one and I've got a very, very distinct, I feel like I discovered you through the yellow.
Yes, yeah.
It's got the like
tentacle things.
So I think that's my the finding you image, and that's the one that until the red one that's the newest one, that's the one that I've always associated heavily with you. I have to say, I've actually, now you mention it, I realise it's the same leotard in different colours.
Yeah.
It hadn't even registered to me that it was the same all the way through.
Yeah, well, I did that on purpose after the first one, obviously. The first one, I was like, I want to expose myself a little bit more. When I say that, I mean like the shape of my body.
Yes.
Because I'd had problems with like not eating disorders, but I felt like I'd had that. There was no diagnosis of that or anything, but there was a lot of things that I went through in my 20s of weight gain, weight loss. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm sick of feeling like this. And I feel like in 2020, there was a big rise of like empowerment. And do you know what I mean? That year there was embrace yourself.
Yeah.
And I actually think that probably definitely enabled me to feel like I could put myself out there. I mean, I'm not completely naked, but I also didn't want to be completely naked on it. But I wanted just a sense of shape.
I mean, for those who are maybe listening to this who haven't seen your work, I mean, search for the green or the yellow or the blue, or it's a long sleeve leotard, isn't it?
Yeah,
quite high neck as well. So we're literally talking a mid leg leotard, barefoot. So but it was. I think I can't remember if it was a conversation we had or seeing you speak about it, but I remember you talking to me about the vulnerability of being in that leotard and what it was like for you to actually put that work out there. Like, how was it received?
Which one? The whole project? Or
a whole project, I think.
So I think it's been received really well because it's been, and I think there's loads of different factors of success that I go down. Like success meaning for me is I finished it. That's like the main thing is that for me, because I'm like, nailed it. Tick, done. And it's taken me all these months to make, because some of them, like the green project, took like 6 weeks to make. The most recent red has been like 2 years.
Yes,
it's been painful 2 years of certain like.
I mean, let's dig into red. So the first time that I met you in person, we sat down. You and I sat down it was just before Adobe Max. It was a sort of an evening dinner, and we
just hit it up, didn't we?
We sat down next to each other. We spoke at length for so long. I think we just forgot anyone else was in the room.
Remember anyone else there?
I remember. I remember really. People taking photos of food, but other than that, you and I just sat and just had this deep conversation about.
Well, you just gravitated towards each other though.
Yeah,
but the red project came up in there.
It was the main topic of that night, and I remember you saying to me, "I am stuck."
Yeah.
How did you get from that position of being stuck. And I know that at the time, what we were talking about was a lot of internal feelings towards red being the most powerful color for you in that series and wanting to do it justice.
Yeah.
To an entire year later.
Yeah.
Well, I say I think it was about 6 months that we started.
Yes, it was.
But like a year to realization
Yeah.
of it. Talk me through that, because
So, I originally had finished the Orange Project. And so in this whole series from 2020 to 26 now, I've gone through a lot of like medical discoveries about myself. I've got underactive thyroid, it's a hereditary genetic. So everyone above me has got it, sort of thing. I know it's quite a common thing, underactive thyroid, but it really hit me massively. So that was about the time where, it's about 2 or 3 years ago, it was just as I was doing the Orange Project, I was discovering that I had that. And it came with a lot of symptoms and things like that. And obviously I'm trying to create in the studio, but then also trying to deal with these symptoms because they're not great. I'd put on quite a lot of weight at that point as well. And to me, weight, like weight doesn't bother me. It was just the medical side of things were not aligning. So after the Orange Project finished, I was like, I started running again. It made myself feel just really focused on actual health. Plus, my dad had been diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
Hang on, probably 2.5 years now. So he got diagnosed in about August 24, was it? Or 23? I can't remember what date we're on. But obviously shattered my world. I was like completely like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the projects is about gardening, so I really like focused on that at that point, because I was like, I need to distract myself, sort of thing, from this. And obviously we live with my parents as well. Me and my partner live in like a little community, I suppose. My granddad and my grandparents live there as well, my auntie. So there's quite a few of us on the plot. So we're all rallying for each other and doing everything, that kind of thing. So there was a lot of factors that was happening. So the medical side of things, my dad had got cancer. That sort of like married up to me, because I was like, for me, because I was like, I need to feel better for my dad so I could, and cancer is a thing that anyone can get.
Yeah.
It doesn't discriminate. So I was like, I need to at least treat my body a bit better than I was. So obviously I went on a bit of a journey. So the year before Adobe Max, I was going on a journey of discovering like myself again, a little bit of like health and fitness and just focusing on me. And then when I got to that Adobe Max chat, when we were chatting, I was like, I don't know physically what it's going to look like. Is it going to look different to the others? Like, do I want it to be coherent again? I was focusing on that at the time. So I was going through a lot of like learning about myself and unlearning about myself. So I tried to like put it into an image, and then I was like, I can't do it yet. I've not unlearned these habits that I've got. So I had to focus on myself to sort of unlearn those habits.
So the weight was actually, as in the WAIT weight, was actually you being in a place where you had unlearned things to turn up authentically in that image.
Yeah, I think that actually explains it. Yeah, I couldn't put myself into it, even though I knew that that's what I wanted it to be.
But I think it's something, when you create deeply personal artwork, sometimes the artwork can't exist until the journey is happening, or the journey has happened in yourself.
Exactly.
To know what you want to say about that piece of
because a lot of, obviously these colour projects are chapters of my life, so each one I can feel certain feelings about, but also I like to open it up to the viewer as well, like the audience, like, what do you feel about this sort of thing? So it's like a conversation, I suppose. This is how I have dealt with things. How do you deal with things back? And that's what I like about the connection of like the audience. But yeah, so the chapters have been happening, but with the Red Project, I felt like I couldn't put myself into it yet. When it came to the conversation that we had, the physicality of like, do I want it to have a certain different backdrop? And even then for 6 months, I couldn't decide. And then I got to a point, I was like, do you know what? And this is where I started documenting so I'd always documented the processes on YouTube and a bit occasionally on Instagram and TikTok, and I do background stuff, and I've got all the behind the scenes and things like that. But really with the Red Project, I was like, do you know what? I think I'm gonna just evolve through this project openly, and it felt amazing.
It did, it felt amazing to watch it. I
think it's because I couldn't come up with the answers, so I was like, I'm just gonna.
It just felt like we were along for the entire journey. It was like, it wasn't necessarily that we were having opinions or giving them to you.
And even if you did, I sort of took that as well. And it was that was nice, having the conversations with people about it.
And it was just so nice to see how your brain evolved, how your thoughts and emotions towards it changed. And, is this drip the right shape drip?
Yes.
Does it look drippy enough? The placement of the balls on the fork.
Do you know what I think it was? And I've just sort of come up with this now. Is that it might have been I needed the physicality of the image to actually take over the feelings that I was feeling about it. So it probably was a bit of I just need to put my vulnerability to the one side and actually just create what I see. And then also people were getting involved with is it going to be matte or glossy? And and things like that excited me. And I was like, do you know what? That's a bit more important, because I think actually don't need to put too much emotion into it at this point. Just need to create it, because I think I had to rewire the way that I'd been creating before and just go, actually, this is how I'm doing it. It took a long time, and don't get me wrong, there was times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm taking so long.
Tired of red.
Yeah, red is happening and it's still going. But it actually happened and completed and finalised at the right time for me. It really did. I felt like it finalised, because I did it obviously this year.
How much of that journey do you share in real time? I say real time. Let's be honest. It needs to be shot, edited, uploaded, captioned, whatever. So I am fully of the understanding, and anyone who works in social media of that kind of world will know it's not like we're there with you in the second it happens. But are we seeing it the same day? Are we seeing it the same week?
So ideally, because of the way that I had sort of come up with my mantra of be honest, sometimes it was literally within the hour that I'd filmed what I wanted to say online. What conversation can I start? And what's the interesting part about this that I'm doing today? Because some days it'd be I'm layering another layer of mod rock, or
and it just paper mache.
Here we go. Yeah. Now it's time to paint. So there's some days where I would be literally within the hour, edit, upload, and that's it. So sometimes I'd do 2 a day, or maybe 1 every day. But then there'd be a couple of weeks where I'm stuck, or I'm taking too long on something, or this is not interesting enough for people, so I'm just going to get this bit out the way and then I'll carry on. But yeah, I think I did think about it in terms of like concept of each video. I knew that this today is the story of what's happening now. Because if I'd filmed it all and then edited it the week after, I'd forget. I've got my brain in one ear out the other. Like, I forget so easily. So I'm like, I have to. There, done, uploaded right now. Next, what's tomorrow? It actually really was exciting because I was like, it was in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed all of it, and just like you said, like little things like, you know, is it gloss, is it matte, and just being taken along for the ride, having that privilege of being able to look into someone's journey.
Yeah,
What have you taken away specifically from the Red Project? I mean, I'm sure it's still going because it's really only been out a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think it was it end of January I did finished it. Yeah, I'm letting it marinate for a little bit, and then I'm working on my next project, but I've just not announced it yet of what I'm doing.
What have been your big lessons from doing this, and especially around that theme of trust that we've been speaking about through? You are so wonderfully authentic, honest, open. I feel like we get to see so much of the internal processing of artists, which is so rare to find.
Yeah.
And living that so openly online. What have been the big takeaways from that for you?
So I always, like I said, was like, be honest from the start. But I have gone through stages of my art career of being like, I need to be like an aloof artist that doesn't, it's the outcome is the outcome, and that's what matters. But to me, honestly, when I look at an artwork, I'm like, how did they do it? I want to know. And like, even I went to the Vatican in Rome, and I stood there thinking, I want to know how these, like, Michelangelo painted this.
Yeah.
And like the sculptures, and I'm like,
how often did he get up and down the ladder?
Yeah.
How bad was the armic?
How long?
Painting the
Is it
ceilings?
5 years? Because I've been working on my red project 2 years, so it can't be that. Like, that's what
I'm not the only one that thinks so.
Like, things like that go for my brain, and I'm like, I just want to see the behind the scenes. Some people don't see that as like important, but for me, I'm fascinated by that. Like, it just, I just want to get to know.
Also, for me, the red balls in the red image, they are so perfectly round and perfectly formed, and the greatest texture. I'm not gonna lie, there's something about them I just want to, like, I want to get in and touch them. I don't know that I would have believed they were real unless I'd seen the behind the scenes of the balls existing.
So, I have struggled with a bit. So actually part of the Red Project struggle was, obviously AI is a big thing. I use AI. I use it in my artwork. Yeah. And I'm an advocate for it. I love it. I love people who use it. And obviously for myself, and I've had this struggle this past couple of weeks with going into my next project. Because obviously AI, with my projects, it costs money to buy the balls, create them. Yeah. It's waste at the end of the day. Like, I'm going to, not necessarily waste for, I've got big plans for this project. So I'm saving those balls for something. There is going to be, I always reuse, recycle. That's literally my motto. But some things I have to buy new. And so like with AI, you could easily do the sets, but I like to show the behind the scenes. So with AI, I'd just be sat at a computer doing some, which is fine also if people want to do that. But I like the physical side of things. And that's why I started this project, was because I wanted the physical. But it's funny that AI actually came, because I didn't have AI. Well, I suppose it is a forms of AI. Photoshop has been AI, hasn't it?
But we've been using, anytime you use the healing tool, it's using it.
It's more the generative things have come in, but I'm absolutely I will embrace it. But for this project, I was like, I need to create from scratch. It feels,
I need substance, I need real something. I think also, I know maybe this is me putting maybe my thoughts into the work that you're doing, but for something that was showing such a vulnerability, having the texture and real life tangible objects around you maybe grounded that project more.
I honestly think that is why I do it, because I knew when I created the studio that I was like, I can't wait to get in here and actually create props that like are there. Because for a while, just before I started creating the colour project, I was doing a lot of digital art in Photoshop, compositing of things and making it a bit more like surreal. And I got a bit like, oh no, I want to start. I want it to be in camera. So that's why I created the colour project, or the green project to start with. That's when it snowballed, and I was like, this is where I need to go, because I love being in the studio, even zoning out. I'll put a podcast on or watch a show whilst I'm actually creating. The zone out for the day. It's amazing. I'm in flow state the whole day.
It sounds incredible.
And then I come back around, I'm like, whew. Obviously, with the Red Project, I've been filming every day, so it's a bit of a different process. And I have to like sort of cut the flow state short sometimes, because I'm like, right, I need to edit this video. But even then, that adds something exciting to it, so it's not like
You said you've got a new project coming up. I know you're not obviously ready to announce that yet. How do you decide when it's the right time to announce or share something?
So I've made the mistakes in the past of saying that I'm going to do something and then don't do it. And what I mean by that is like online.
We've all been there. You get the dopamine from telling people you're going to do it.
And then I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, great. I'll see you next time.
Literally. The amount of times that I've done that, and then I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. So with obviously the Red Project, it was like a little bit like, oh, I need to keep going. This needs to go. But with the announcing this next project, I'm letting obviously the Red Project marinate a bit more. But I know exactly what the colour's going to be. So it doesn't really matter if I say it or...
So you have another colour one coming.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So I'm going to do as many colours as I can think of.
Do the colours choose you, or do you choose the colours?
They've been choosing me a bit, because like with the red project, I don't know, it felt a bit like a dangerous subject to be. And I feel like red is danger, and it just chose me. Those two like concepts, the food concept and the red, just went together. Obviously with the green, that was my moment of
euphoria.
Yeah, euphoria that I had. With yellow, I had the outfit, because obviously that's a different. It's a leotard, but it's not.
Yeah.
That was next, because I'd already had the outfit, because I'd already made it years prior and shot it differently. They almost like just come to me. I don't have to like search for it. With orange and the blue was around so my nana passed away, and it was she'd seen the giant telephone being made, and obviously didn't see it being finished. So it's kind of like, but the blue, I don't know why, it just represents like you'll have to read the write-up, the synopsis of the blue, but it just felt like it was right at the time.
Yeah.
And then obviously the next colour is sort of just finishing the alphabet, the rainbow. So
if it completed the alphabet, that would be pretty impressive. I think I might be able to guess what that might be. What emotions is that bringing up for you?
There's certain things that have happened over the last week or two that have like aligned. And it's so funny. It will all make sense when I say. I probably, by the time this episode comes out, probably already on with it.
Well, they can come to you for the
they
announcement.
can have of my next project.
Well, I'm so excited to see where this colour project goes. It's been so amazing having such access to how your mind works and seeing how you create. And I'm sure there are so many people out there who feel exactly the same way. If there's a younger version of you out there that might be listening to this going, oh my gosh, like this is exactly the journey that I'm on. How do I get there? What would you want them to know?
It's so broad, because I could sit down with someone and tell them exactly what they need to do. But honestly, I think I actually go back to the start. Trust yourself, because I don't think anyone's path is the same.
No,
it will never be the same, because of all different stages, different situations in our lives.
Well, I mean, I just even look at us.
Yeah,
same university. All right, but probably years apart. But same building. Both of us studied. Both of us had a love for photography. Yeah. You went self-portrait. I went the other, and we literally had exactly the same opportunities to do so. You're right.
Yeah. So I think it is just trust yourself and and go with your gut. I'd also actually recommend being a freelance photographer on the side of everything.
Oh yeah, it's great. Do it.
Because I've created a living off of that, and I was able to then. So obviously with my like weddings, I'm going back into this, but like with the weddings, like I was then able to I designed my life that throughout the summer I was shooting weddings, and then throughout the winter I then created self-portraits. So I was prop making and stuff like that for 6 months, because I'd gained enough income, financial stability, and then I could do what I wanted for 6 months.
And people, we was literally speaking about this just beforehand, or it might have even been on this, I forget. But you were saying that your wedding clients actually have found you through.
Yeah, a lot of them have done, and they support it. So we connect quite well because of that. And I think that people see the authentic side of me. At first, I was embarrassed about that, though. A lot of like the self-portraiture and then weddings. I kept it very separate. Some people didn't even know I did that other stuff.
I don't know. To be fair, actually, I only knew one, not the other. So if anyone does want to look you up and also have a wedding,
it's Holly Rose Weddings. If you do want to book me, but the connection that I've made with the people. In fact, that was actually one thing, is that I've made a lot of connections and got a lot of inspirations from other people, meeting lots of different people, lots of amazing couples.
Yeah,
and getting yourself around actually really helps with like inspiration, I think.
Especially going to people, going to new places, being in different rooms.
Our conversation ran through my mind once a day whilst I was creating the bread project.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I
think about that conversation a lot.
I do. I honestly do, because so things like that connect with people. That's actually one thing I would say, connect with people.
But there were so many incredible people. I mean, we did actually speak to other people.
Oh, well, yeah, there's some amazing people.
The connections at that table, I think I will take through life with me. And show up, be present. Yeah. Oh, I feel like there's so much more we can talk about. Like I have tons of notes, and I know there were some other things on here that were really meaningful that we were to talk about. So maybe we come back and revisit this.
I think that would be good.
In the meantime, if people want to come see more of your work, maybe explore the colour project, where can they find you?
So it's just my name, which is Holly Rose Stones, all one word, everywhere.
Everywhere.
TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
All of them. All of the above.
Yeah.
Thank you. Someone out there is going to be listening to this going, oh my, like, especially, I can imagine 19, 20, off to university, right at the beginning of their career, being so inspired by this. So I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you for having me
today.
I was a bit worried and scared, and like, because I feel like I'm so vulnerable online, and then I can like leave it online. I know that sounds really strange, but it feels like it's kind of diary. Like I'm just like, put it online, and then I just get on with my day and don't have to speak to anyone about what I've written or anything. So when I was going here today, I was like, am I going to actually have to speak about it?
Well, we're definitely going to have a part 2.
Yes, definitely. I feel like I've got a lot to talk about. Yeah.
Well, if anyone has been listening, watching, has resonated with this, please make sure to leave us a comment. Let us know how this made you feel. If you want to reach out to either of us, we're both chronically online people. We are always welcoming for community and conversation. Please make sure to follow, like, subscribe, share with someone else you think would love to hear this story, especially Holly's. Honestly, I think your work is fantastic, and it honestly has been a privilege today. And remember, you're not broken, you're just finding your user manual.